everyone. Today we are continuing with our directed Hebrew immersion, also drash and commentary on the ancient Triennial Torah portion. The parashah today is Genesis chapter 38, and we'll be looking a little bit for the Haftarah at Isaiah, something from Isaiah chapter 37. If you look over to the right, you can see here we have the Samech marking the ancient Sedra. And let me just say a real quick prayer. אבינו מלכנו, כן יהי רצון, כי ביום הזה אנחנו יכולים ללמוד טוב בעיניך. מודיעים אנחנו לפניך, אדוני, כי נתת לנו את תורתך, נתת את עמך, אהבה ורחמים, במועדים, בשבתות, וכל אשר נתת לאבותינו. כי אלוהי אברהם, ואלוהי יצחק, ואלוהי יעקב, אתה. אין לנו מושיע ומגן בלתך, רק אתה אל עליון. תעזרנה אותנו, אדוני, ביום הזה, ללכת טוב בעיניך, ולא רק היום ויומם בלילה. All right, let's get started. Here we go. Chapter 38, verse 1. ויהי בעת ההיא וירד יהודה מאת אחיו, ויהט יעליש הדולמי, ושמו יחירה. All right. ויהי, and it was, ba'et hahi, ba, in, a, the, ait, time, ha, the, he, she. In the time, the she. That means in that time. Vahi ba'et hahi, so it was at that time. Vayered Yehuda, that Judah went down. He yaraded. Vayered Yehuda. May 8, this is min plus 8, from, with, don't confuse this with the direct object marker. Here it means with, Echaiv, his brothers, Vayet, and this is the verb nata. It's a doubly weak verb. So the noon is gone because it's a pay noon verb. Verbs that start, I wanted to say noons that start with the verb. Verbs that start with a noon, they lose that noon often. And verbs that end with a hey, lamed hey verbs, they lose the hey at the end. So all we have left here is the tet from nata. Nata is like to incline, to turn, to bend. So vayet, so he inclined, he turned, until ish adulami, an adulamite man. Ushemo, and his name was Chira. Verse 2. Vayal, pardon me. Vayasham Yehuda Vadish Kenani Ushemo Shua Vikacheha Vayavo Eleha Vayach Sham Yehuda. So the verb is Ra'ah, Reish, Aleph, Hey. When verbs end in Hey, the Hey goes away, right? So Vayal, and he saw Sham there, Yehuda. And Judah saw there Bat Ish, the daughter of a man, Kenani, a Canaanite. Although some of the ancient commentators try to twist this into meaning a trader, like someone who sells in the land or something. Ushemo, and his name was Shua. Vayikacheha, the verb is lakach. There's a dagish in the kuf because that's where the lamed is hiding. So in ancient Hebrew, this would have been vayil kacheha, but it became instead of vayil kach, it became vayikach. Vayikacheha, and he took her. Vayavo, and he entered eleha, into her. Verse 3. Vataha vateled bein lekai shemo. Vatahal. This is the verb hara. Hey, reish, hey, and that final hey went away, so we are only left with hal. The ta means she. It could also mean you, but it's not saying and you conceived. So vataha and she conceived. Va tailed. Okay, there's another peyod verb. The yod is gone. The verb is yalad, right? Like to make a yelad, to birth. And again, it could either say vatailed and you birthed, but it's not speaking to you. Vatailed and she birthed a Bain, son. Vayikra, and he called et Shemo, his name. Yeah. Verse 4. Vataha od vateled bain, vatika et shemo onan. Okay. Vataha od, and she conceived again, vateled, and she birthed a bain, a son. Vatika, and he called, oh, she called. This one time she's calling. See up above is vayika, he called. Now it's she called, vatika, and she called et shemo, his name, the shame of Onan. Verse 5. Vatosef od vateled bein vatika et shemo Sheila v'haya v'chziv belid ta ha oto vatosef. Now this is a peyod verb. The yod is gone. Yod Samech Pe, Yasaf. Yasaf is to increase or to add to. It's where Joseph's name comes from, Yosef. So Vatosef either means and you increased or and she increased. Or still, Vatailed, and she birthed a Bain, son. Vatika, and she called et Shemu, his shame, his name, Shelah. Vehaya, and he was Vichziv, with this guy Kaziv, or with this person Kaziv, rather, Belita, when she birthed, literally in the birthing of her. But when you have an infinitive like that with the suffix is telling you who's doing the thing, right? Literally in the yeleding, the birthing of her. So when she birthed Oto, him. So presumably it's saying where Judah was. Verse 6. Vayikach Yehuda Isha le'bechoro Ushemach Tamar. Okay. Vayikach again. Vayilkach became Vayikach. And he took, who took? Yehuda. And Judah took Isha, a woman, Le'el, for Al. Bechor, the firstborn of his firstborn. Ushema. And her name was Tamar. All right. Any comments or questions? Okay, let's go back to this part where it says in verse 2, Vayal Sham Yehuda Batish Kenani. Then Judah saw the daughter of a Canaanite man. In the Midrash Tanchuma Bubel, Vayeshev 9, it teaches us that Judah's marriage to a Canaanite woman was a spiritual decline, possibly as punishment for selling Joseph. And remember, I did say that there are commentators who believe that she wasn't really a Canaanite, that this is some other word for a trader or whatever. It's a minority opinion. Some people they hear this like at a Chabad place or something, and they think, oh, that's it. That's it. It's that's just how it is. But no, there is no solid agreement on this from the sages. Okay, that's just an opinion. I think the plain meaning of the text is pretty clear. It's an actual Canaanite, right? There are many other words. The Torah just recently, a few sections back, used sochel, a trader, like one who goes around the land and trading. And Shechem told Jacob, "Hey, you guys can socher all around the land, right? You can go around trading and such, like selling your sheep and such." So it's not like such a word is unknown. So to use Canaanite and to purposely cause confusion here, I find that highly dubious. Possible, but dubious. Okay. And I do think my book talks a little bit about it. Can't remember if I wrote about that or not. I think I did. All right. Let's check the bottom here. Vayikach Yehuda isha le'er bechoro. Then Judah took a wife for Er, his firstborn, Ushama, and her name was Tamar. In Seder Olam Rabbah 2, we learn that Tamar remained at her father's house for 1 year after being betrothed to Er, and another year until the death of Shua's daughter. Seder Olam is a Midrashic collection composed probably around 160 BCE. Pardon me, CE. I don't know why I said BCE. CE in the Common Era, right? The Common Era. So pretty old Midrash, pretty old. All right, let's read from the Leningrad Codex now. Vayhi ba'et hahi, vayered Yehuda me'et chayv, vayet ad ish adal adulami, ushemo chira. Genesis 38, verse 2. Vayal sham Yehuda bat ish kena'ani, ushemo shua. Vikacheha vayavo eleha, vataha vatelid bain. V'ikra et shemo El. Genesis 38, verse 4. Sorry, I didn't call out verse 3. V'taha od v'telid bain. V'tikra et shemo Onan. Verse 5. V'tosev od v'telid bain. V'tikra et shemo Shelah. Sorry, the vowels are covered up. I just remember his name. V'haya b'chziv b'litah oto. Verse 6. Vayikach Yehuda isha le'er b'choro u'shema Tama. All right, let's move on. Actually, hold on. All right, verse 7. Vayehi ehel b'chol Yehuda v'abe'einei Adonai v'mitehu Adonai. Vayehi, and it was El, that guy, Bechol Yehuda, or Da, Bechol Yehuda, the firstborn of Yehuda. Vayehi, it was that Bechor, the firstborn of Yehuda was Ra, evil. Be, in, Da, Einei Adonai. That's the Einayim, the eyes of Adonai. In Adonai's sight, you can understand that. Vayim mitehu, and this is a he feel. He caused to moat. He caused to become dead. Who? Him. Adonai. So Adonai killed him. See how that works? It's good to know the biblical Hebrew binyanim, the verbal stems. If you haven't learned these yet, you can check in my language snippets playlist on YouTube, and there's a video with a picture of a menorah. The thumbnail's a menorah, and I use the menorah mnemonic there to show you how the Hebrew verb forms work in Hebrew. It's a nice way to remember it. So if you know that mot is death, right, or to die, then the hefil usually is a causative form of whatever the verb is. So to cause to die, well, that's to kill, right? So then Adonai caused to die him. He killed him. Okay. It's also kind of interesting that this word is sandwiched around Adonai. It's like the prophet is making sure we realize it was definitely Adonai who did this. Er sinned by engaging in unnatural intercourse to prevent Tamar from becoming pregnant, as he did not want to mar her beauty. This is the opinion expressed in the Talmud, Tractate Yevamot 34b. By the way, Yevamot, it's exactly this topic. It's about Yavama or Yabama, sometimes people say. Not Barack Obama. Sorry. Yabama is the practice of when a brother dies and he hasn't had offspring yet, that the Torah says his brother must marry the wife, and that the first child they have will be for the remembrance of the name of his brother, right? To carry off and to inherit and all that kind of stuff, to carry his name. So that's this tractate dealing with that topic. But if you're unfamiliar with the Talmud, it's you'll have a subject name, right? Like Yevamot, and far from everything in there. Not most of what's in there is not about the topic, just so you know. So the rabbis they'll just wonder and talk about all kinds of things. It's just a general categorization, right? Like you might find things about Yevamot somewhere else as well, in Sanhedrin or something. So, all right, verse 8. ויאמר יהודה לעונת בא אל אשת אחיך ויבן אותה והקם זרע לאחיך. Vayomer Yehuda. Then Judah said, Leonan to Onan, Bo, enter El unto the Eshit Achicha, the wife of your brother, Veyabain. And that's make Yabama, do the act of Yabama, right? Make her a wife of you, but you will not benefit from the offspring. It will be for her brother's sake, for your brother's sake, rather. Vayabaim Ota, do that to her. Vehakim Zera. So this is from the verb kum. It's a hollow verb. Verbs where the middle root letter is a vav or a yod, oftentimes that disappears, and we are left only with kuf, some call it kof, and mem here, right? So that's to arise, right? You might remember the master saying, kuma tabata, arise, girl, right? In Jewish Aramaic. Or some transliterations in the Jewish Greeks just say kum instead of kuma. That's just a Galilean thing. In Galilean Aramaic, sometimes an aleph or even other gutturals at the end of a word would just disappear in pronunciation. So kuma just becomes kum. It's not like he's using a masculine form, like it's a mistake or something in grammar. That's just Galilean Aramaic, accurately captured in the Jewish Greek. So this is a hefil. So if kum is arise, the hey here's telling us it's hefil, then it's cause to arise. So what's that mean? Raise up. It can be raise up or erect, like if you're erecting a monument or something. So vehak came. This is a command, and raise up zera, seed, le for achicha, the brother of you. Verse 9. Vayeda onan ki lo lo יחיה הזרע, והיה אם בא אל אשת אחיו ושיחת ארצה, לבלתי נתון זרע לאחיו. Okay. Vayeda. So this is from the verb yada, and he knew. Who knew? Onan. Vayeda Onan. And Onan knew, but Onan knew makes more sense. The vav, the conjunction, is very flexible in Hebrew. It can mean and, but, or, if, then, when, exclamation point, and even some other things sometimes. There's even a very, very rare vav emphatical. I mean vav vocative. Okay. So Vayeda Onan, and Onan knew, but Onan knew ki that lo, not lo to him, not belonging to him, Yihye will be Haz the Zara. Notice Zera becomes Zara. That's just because of the special accent point here. The Etnachta, some call it Atnach, others Atnachta. Don't flame me about this in the comments. There's different traditions, okay, guys? Vehaya, and it will be Im ba, if he enters el unto Eshit Achiv. So that's a construct chain. The brother, pardon me, the wife of his brother, right? Eshit from Isha. Isha is woman or wife. Eshet, wife of or woman of. Achiv, the brother of his. Veshichet. So he ruined or spilled artsa toward the ground, levilti, so that not neton zera, giving of seed, leachiv, to his brother. I'm sorry. I thought I put an extra note about shichet there. I must be on a later slide. So I'll just give you a brief summary. Shichet literally means to ruin or to destroy, to obliterate. And it can be used metaphorically in other ways. I'll get to that later. Here it's clearly meaning to spill the sperm onto the ground, right? Because it gets ruined, right? It's just going to die down there, right? So, okay, let's go ahead and read from the Leningrad Codex. Vayhi el bechol Yehuda. Look at that yod. It looks almost like a vav. Look how long that yod is. Ra be'einei Adonai. This is kind of, I was glancing this for a second because look, there's a big space, but this is all one word. So you can tell there was a mistake there that the scribe wiped out, right? We have a big space there. That's not fun. I'm like, Yemei, what? Days of so and so? That doesn't make sense. Vaimitehu. And he killed him, Adonai. Verse 8. Vayomer Yehuda. Then Judah said Leonan to Onan, Bo el Eshet Achicha, enter into the wife of your brother, Ve'yabeim ota, and make Yabama with her, Ve'hakem, and raise up Zerah, seed leachicha, unto your seed, unto your brother. Verse 9. Ve'yeda Onan, but Onan knew, Ki lo yiche, that not to him would be Hazara, the seed, the store called Zara in Italy. V'haya, and it would be, or so, and it was, imba, that if he entered el Eshet Achiv, the wife of his brother, v'shichet, so he ruined artsa toward the ground. He spilled toward the ground. The vilti, so that not the tonzera, giving of seed, the achiv, to his brother. By the way, you guys let me know, what do you prefer? When I read from the Leningrad Codex, do you like me to translate as I read as kind of an additional reinforcement for what you've learned if you're working on the Hebrew words? Or do you like me just to read through it and not translate? I kind of have the feeling now that it might be good to translate when we have the time for that too, to kind of give some extra reinforcement, but I don't know. You guys let me know what you prefer. Okay, we're about 22 minutes in. Why don't you guys take a quick stretch? We're not taking a break. Just take a stretch, move around a little bit, lift your arms above your head, let them down, rock around, stretch if you need to. Just 30 seconds. We're going to be moving to the next slide. Here we go. Genesis chapter 38, verse 10. Vayera. Oh, pardon me. What is it? I gotta look closer. Okay. Vayera be'einei Adonai asher asa vayamet gam oto. Ouch. Vayera. And he did evil. Be'in Einei Adonai, the Lord's sight, or the eyes of Adonai, the Einayim of Adonai. This is construct. This blue box always means there's construct. It's a construct state. Asher, how? Asa, he did. Vayomet, and he caused to die. Gam oto, also him. Notice previously it said vayamitehu. It was all one in the verb, but here it's vayamet, and he killed. Gam also oto, him. It's broken up. You'll never see it stacked in modern Hebrew, in case you're curious. The Vaimatehu, and he killed him. Modern Hebrew doesn't like to stack the object at the end of the verb anymore. It simplifies it to have it always as like the oto, like broken off like this. The deaths of Er and Onan were punishment for Judah's role in deceiving Jacob about Joseph. Medrash Tanhuma Buber Vayigash 10. Verse 11. Vayomer Yehuda lethama kalato shevi almana vetavicha ad yigdal shela veni ki ama pen yamut gam hu kechayv vatelet tama vateshev beit aviha. Wow, that's a long verse. Look at that. Vayomer Yehuda. Then Judah said, Le to Thama kalat oh, the kala of his daughter-in-law, Shivi. So this is from the verb yashav. It's hard to tell because it's a pei yod verb, and that first yod has disappeared, and all we are left is from the root is sheen and bait, right? But this is a feminine command, right? Just talking to a woman. Shivi means to yashav, right? But it's command. So you sit or you dwell almana, as an almana, as a widow, da veit avicha, house of your father. And you might be wondering, why does it say be veit avicha, in the house of your father? Well, with this particular expression, oftentimes bait is understood as the bait, right? In house of. So the bait, just this, that initial preposition, just sometimes isn't used. So that's what's happening there. So you can translate it, understand it's in the house of your father. La'ad, until Yigdal Shela, till Shela grows, like he grows old enough. Veni, my son, till Shela, my son, grows old enough. Yigdal, Yigdal Elohim Chai v'yishtav akar. Ki Amar, for he said, pen, so that not, or really, if you want a one-word translation, you got to go with older English, lest Yamut will die, Gam Hu, also he, right? So he's worried that she's like causing these guys to die. Ke Echayv, like his brothers. V'teilech Tamar. So Tamar, she halached, she went, v'teishiv, and she yashaved, she dwelled, Beit Avicha, pardon me, Aviha, in the house of her father. Again, we have to just assume the in. Literally, she dwelled, house of her father. Okay, let's read from the Codex. Vayera be'einei Adonai, and it was evil in the eyes of Adonai, Asher asa, what he had done. Vayamit, and he caused to die, Gam Oto, also him. Verse 11, Vayomer Yehuda leThamar. Then Judah said to Tamar, Kalato, his daughter-in-law, Shivi, dwell, Almana, a widow, Veit Avicha, the house of your father. I'm not going to do the tones and stuff. You let me know. If you want all the tones and everything, we'll do that next time. But if you like the translation, let me know. If you just want straight codex, let me know. However you want it, that's how we'll do it. Ad Yigdal, until we'll grow up, Sheila Veni, my son. Look how close these words are. It looks like it's one word. Key for Amal, he said, Pen Yamut Gamhu. So that also he won't die, or lest he might also die. Ke Echayiv, like his brothers. But Taylech Tamar, so Tamar went, but Teshiv, and she dwelled, Beit Aviha, in the house of her father. You guys catch what I'm saying? Let me know how you like the codex being read. If you want me to read it with the auditory cues, the tones and such, I can do that. If you want it read with the translation like we're doing now, you can do that. If you just want it read straight, we can do that. Whomever I hear more from, that's what we will go with. Ah, yeah, that's what happened. I put it on the wrong slide, the shichet. But anyway, we'll discuss it here. I thought there was a lot of space on the slide. So shichet is a PL form, has the general meaning of to destroy or ruin, though it's used metaphorically as well. Shichet hadevarim, to make words ineffective, right? Like ruin words in Proverbs 23, verse 8. Or shichet rachamaiv, his mercy is spoiled or stifled. Amos chapter 1, verse 11. But in the previous slide, shechet arza, to ruin to the earth, of human semen, meaning to allow one semen to spill onto the ground and be ruined. Genesis 38, verse 12. We're also experimenting with a slightly faster pace today to see if you like having a faster lesson. Please let me know how you like that. If you prefer it slower, remember you can always slow it down also on YouTube or Patreon, wherever you're watching this lesson at. Just a quick reminder, these lessons only remain on YouTube usually for about a week, the full Triennial Torah portions. But over on Patreon, I keep them, you can watch them there as long as you like. Okay, so as a free member, you don't have to pay anything. All right, verse 12. Vayibuhu hayamim vatamat bat shua. Oh, sorry, I messed that up, didn't I? Vatamat bat shua eshet Yehuda vayinachem Yehuda vayal al gozazeh sono hu v'chia ra'ehu ha'adalumi timnatha. Okay. Vayirbu hayamim. So the days they were ravav or rabah, depending how you want to, which verb you take that from. Either one, the idea is they grew numerous. The days grew numerous. So it means it's a long time. Tamar is waiting. Vatamat and, died Bat Shua, Eshet Yehuda. The daughter of Shua, the wife of Judah, died. Vayinachem Yehuda. And Judah consoled himself. Vaya al. This is from the verbal root. Ya'ala, ayin lamed hey, to go up, to ascend. And as many verbs that end in hey, that hey disappears. So the hey went away. The ya at the beginning means he. Ya al means he is going up or he will go up. But va ya'al in this case means and he went up. And he went up al upon the gozazeit solo, the shearing of his sheep or his flock. Who? He, vechira, and chira. Ra'ehu, his fellow. Some would say neighbor. I usually translate this word as fellow. Ha'adalumi, the Adulamite. Timnatha, this is where they're going to. Timnath is the name of the place. The ah at the end tells you they are going there. Timnatha, they went up to Timnath. Now, regarding his consoling himself, in the Talmud tractate Sota, page 13b, which Sota is a woman who's been accused of adultery, and she's going to go undergo the ordeal before the priest, right? Drinking the water and all that stuff. So Judah finished mourning his wife, and the term used, the Vayinachem, indicates a period of consolation before he went up to Timnah. Okay. Verse 13. Vayugad lethama lemo hine chamich ole timnatha lagos tzono. Vayugad. This is a hufal or hofal, depending how you like to call it. Okay, it's means it was told to. It's where we get the word Haggadah, like for Passover, the telling. And it was told le to Thama, lemo, saying, Hine, look, Chamich, your father-in-law, Arle, went up Timnatha, or is going up to Timnath. Lagos, to Gazaz, that's a geminate. Oftentimes when you have two letters in a row in a verbal root, one will disappear. To shear, tzon oh, the tzon of oh, his sheep. Verse 14. Vatasa big day al menuta mi'aleha vatich vatechas vatzaif vatit'alef vateshef בפתח עיניים, אשר על דרך תמנתה, כי היא ראתה כי גדל שלה, והיא לא ניתנה לו לאישה. Okay. Vatasa, Vatasa, then she removed, she caused to turn, so she removed, or yeah, caused to be removed. She removed, big day. That's the begadim. That's the begadim, the garments of almunat, almenuta, like her widowhoodness. I'm not sure how to bring that into English. Almanut is widowhood, right? Widowhood, like an abstract concept. And almanah is a widow. Almanut is widowhood, right? Kind of like we have Ezra is like a native, and Ezrahut is citizenship, right? Or nativeness, if you would. So anyway, Almanut, the widowhood of her. So she removed the big day almanutah, the clothing, the garments of her widowhood. So her widowy looking garments. She's a widow. May, that's min, may from al upon a may aleha from upon her. Vaterchas and Texas. No. For the Texans in here. So the verb is kasa. Kaf, samich, hey, and the hey went away. So we're only left with kaf and samich, okay? Vater, and she, kasad, basically, she covered ba tsarif, with at the tsarif, with like a head wrap. Vatit alaf, and she wrapped it around herself. Vatashiv, and she dwelled be at da fetach enayim, this place called like opening of the eyes, kind of a neat name for a town. Now, Midrash Breshit Rabbah 85, paragraph 7 says that Petach Enayim, Tamar prayed to God, saying, may it be your will that I not leave this house empty handed. They come. Asher, which is Al by Derech Timnatha, by or along the path of Timnath, or the it's kind of how would you translate the path on the way to Timnath, right? Because Timnath is the place. So Derech Timnath is the road to Timnath, the road of Timnath. But Derech Timnatha with the at the end, that's Timnath word, right? So the road of the road toward Timnath. Not sure why I'm struggling with that. I mean, I understand it, but bringing it into English isn't always one to one. Key for Ra'ata, she Ra'ah, Resh Aleph Hey, she saw. Not Ra'ah was evil, but she Ra'ah, she saw Ki that Gadal Shela, that Shela had grown up, right? He's come of age, he's a man. Vehi, and she, lo, not Nitana, or Nitana, was given, lo, to him, La Isha, for a wife, right? So you notice this is natan, the verb, and it's in the nifal. So in case you're wondering what's happening here, this in ancient times said nin tana before the Bible. But by the time we get to biblical Hebrew, nin tana, the noon already had assimilated into the tav. So nin tana, so you get ni, that's the nifal, telling you it's passive usually. Natan, give, and then the o is she. So natana would be she gave, but nin tana would be she was given, right? Passive because nifal. So it's a little hard to see what's going on there. That's why there's the dogish in the top. It's nin tana became nit tana. There's two tops. The noon assimilated. Okay. Verse 15. Vayireha Yehuda Yachshaveha lezona ki chisata paneha. Vayireha. So don't get confused. That hey is not part of the verbal root. The verb is reish aleph, and then the actual hey from the verb has went away. It's gone. So ra'ah, resh aleph hey is to see, right? But usually those heys they disappear, don't they? And the yu is he. So yire means he is seeing or he will see. The vav changes it. Va yire means and he saw. What did he see? This hey isn't part of the verbal root. Instead, it's a suffix ha, meaning her. Va, then or and, yi, he, re, saw, ha, her. Va yire ha, and he saw her. Who saw her? Subject follows, Yehuda. Then or and Judah saw her. We don't double translate. Don't say then he saw her, Judah. Okay. I just do that sometimes so that it's easier for you guys who are following immersively to pick up what's happening with the language. Okay. I don't need to translate it that way. Sometimes people write in the comments, why are you doing it? Can't you translate straight? Yeah, I can translate it straight, but I just want it to be clear for everyone to follow. Sometimes when we're hyper literal, that makes it easier for students to follow what's going on. Vayireha Yehuda, then Judah saw her. Vayach Sheveha, but he chashaved. Chet beit. Chashav is to reckon. Sometimes it can mean to count, to calculate, to think, right? This is where we get the modern Hebrew. Well, there's two words depending on the era in modern Hebrew. There's chashiva and there's machshevet, right? Machshava. Anyway, that's a computer. It's like a thinking thing, right? So vayach shov would be and he thought, but vayach sheveha and he thought her. He reckoned her le for a zona, a harlot. Ki, because ki set to. So here again, it's the verbal root, like we had up here, v'techas. Remember I said the hey disappeared? It's actually the verb kasa, to cover. Well, what happens is when you have a verb that ends in a hey, and we need to make the feminine third person masculine, pardon me, third person feminine singular in the perfect. Don't worry about those terms if you don't know what they mean. Then before we put the hey on, that final hey becomes a t, a tav. So and this is a PL form, chiset ta. So PL, if kasa is to cover, then kise is to completely cover. So chiset ta, for she was completely covered. What was completely covered? Pane ha, the panim of ha, her face. She completely covered her face. Isn't that interesting? In the Middle East, in those days, if a woman wore a hijab, it meant that she was a zona. My, how times have changed. Because they didn't want to be recognized. They didn't want people to know who they were, right? So they covered their faces. All right. Let's go ahead and read from the Codex. Vayirbu. I'm sorry, I forgot I'm not doing the tones. Vayirbu hayamim, and the days were many. Vatamat Batshua, Eshit Yehuda. Then Batshua, daughter of Shua, the wife of Judah, died. Vayinachem Yehuda, and Judah reconciled himself, he consoled himself rather. Vayal Al Gozeh, and he went up concerning her near the te Gozeh Tzono. Sorry, I forgot not doing tones. Let me know if you like those tones. The shearing of his sheep. Hu vechira, he and Chira, his fellow. Ha Adulami, the Adulamite. Timnatha, towards Timnath. Genesis 38, verse 13. Vayugad lethama lemor. And it was told, it was Haggadad to Tamar, saying, Hine, behold, check it out. Chamich, your Chom, your father-in-law, Arle Timnatha, has gone up to Timnath. Lagos tzono, to shear his sheep. Genesis 38:14. Latasa bigdei almenota. And she covered up, I'm sorry, not covered up, tasa. She removed the garments of her widowhood. Me'aleha, from upon her. Vatechas vatsaif. And she covered up with the saif, like a scarf, right? But it's more like a head covering scarf, like a wrap. Vatit alaf, and she wrapped herself. Vateshiv, and she sat or she dwelled Befetach Einayim, at Petach Einayim, that place. Asher, which is Al Derech Timnatha, along the road towards Timnath. Ki, because, or for, Ra'ata, she saw, she noticed, Ki Gadal Shelah, that Shelah had grown up. He became great, literally. Vehi lo nitanalo, and she was not given to him. Leisha, for a wife. Genesis 38, verse 15. Vayirei ha Yehuda. When Judah saw her, Vayach Shaveha, he considered her lezona, for a harlot. Ki kiseta, for she had totally covered up paneha, her face. Okay, we are 45 minutes in. Now it is break time. Break time, break time, break time. Why don't you have some nice Shabbat oneg, or use the bathroom if you need to, maybe get a drink, and we will continue. I'll go ahead and play a Hebrew Literacy original, one of our original songs here. And when it's done, the break is over. All right? I'll see you when you get back.
Abraham prayed for Abimelech's wives, even though his own Sarah was barren. We can learn from the tzaddik how to live. Pray that others have what you want. Kill the evil eye. Then Elohim visited Sarah, Adonai pakad et Sarah, according to how he said, Kasher Amar. That's what Adonai did, Vayas Adonai. He did for Sarah as he promised, L'Sarah Kasher Diber. So Sarah said, Watoy Meir Sarah, laughter Elohim has made for me. So Chokostali Elohim, and she said, who said to Abraham, Watomer Bibi Leile Abraham? Sarah would nurse children, Heini Karbonim Sarah, for I have birthed a son. Ki aladi ben. Then Elohim visited Sarah, Adonai pakad et Sarah, according to how he said, Kasher Amar. That's what Adonai did, Vayas Adonai. He did for Sarah as he promised, L'Sarah Kasher Diber. For all those who deeply desire something, it seems so out of reach. Imagine our ancestors full of faith, pray it for others, and Elohim sees that a heart full of Ein Tov. Then Elohim visited Sarah, Adonai pakad et Sarah, according to how he said, Kasher Amar. That's what Adonai did, Vayas Adonai. He did for Sarah as he promised, L'Sarah Kasher Diber.
So, did you guys have a good break? Good oneg? I know I did. I ate a little bit of pasta Alfredo with some hot oil and Parmesan cheese on it. Woo! Delicious. Kosher Parmesan cheese. All right, let's continue. Genesis 38, verse 16. And I just want to say a special thank you to my patrons out there, everyone who's a member over on patreon.com/Hebrew Literacy. You guys are much appreciated, and you make it possible that we can survive doing this kind of stuff. So shout out to all of you patrons. If you're not a patron, you can join free. Join us free over there. We have content available only for patrons. And oftentimes we might have a lesson on YouTube, but it's longer over on Patreon. All right, let's continue with Genesis chapter 38, verse 16. Vayed eleha el haderech, vayomer havana avo elayich ki lo yada ki chalato hi vatomer matiten li ki tavo elai. All right, quite transactional. Vayet. So the verb here is a doubly weak verb. It's nata, noon, tet, hey. It's weak on one end because it's a pay noon verb starting with a noon, and the noon is gone. It's weak on the other end because it's a lamed hey verb ending in a hey, and the hey is gone. All we are left with is the tet. Okay. So nata is to turn or incline towards, right? Sometimes to bend. Vayet, and he inclined eleha, towards her. El, unto had derech, the way. Vayomer, and he said, Hava na. Hava, you guys probably know Hava, right? Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Hava, Nagila, Venismecha. Right? Hava, come on, come on, let's just do it. Nagila, let us deal, let us rejoice. Venismecha, and let us be samech, be happy. So Havana, come now. Avo, I will enter Elayich unto you. In Midrash Breshit Rabbah 85:8, we are told that God summoned the angel in charge of desire to compel Judah to turn aside to Tamar's tent, ensuring kings and redeemers would descend from them. Also in Midrash Tanchuma Buber, Vayeshev 17, when Judah passed by without noticing, Tamar prayed, and God sent the angel Michael to bring him back. Shout out to Michael, to Misha, studying archaeology over there in Jerusalem. All right. Ki lo, for not, yada, he knew, ki, that, chalo, chalot, pardon me, chalat, oh, the kala of, oh, his daughter-in-law, he was she. Vatomer, and she said, ma, what? Titen. In ancient Hebrew, tin ten. It's the verb natan, to give. Tin ten. What will you, titen, give li, to me? Ki, that. Tavo, you will enter. Eli, unto me. Verse 17. Vayomer anochi ashalach gedi ezim min hatzon. Vatomer im titen Eravon ad shalechecha. Okay. Vayomer, and she said, pardon me, and he said, Anochi, I myself, shalach, I will send gedi ezim, a goat kid. Midrash Beshit Rabbah 85:9 informs us that Tamar's request for a kid paralleled Judah's earlier deception of Jacob with a kid. Serving as measure for measure, mida keneged mida, punishment. Interesting observation there in the midrash. Min hatson, from the flock. Vatomer, and she said, Im titen, if you will not tan, tinten became titen, if you will give, iravon ad shalachecha. Iravon. Iravon is like a security deposit, like a, you know, something collateral. Okay. If titen, you will give, iravon, collateral, until shalachecha, literally the sending of you. So until you send, I send the what? The gedi, the kid. Verse 19. Vayomer, and he said, Ma, what? Ha, the avon, collateral. What is the collateral? Asher, which? Etain. So again, in ancient times, tain became etain. The noon doubles the tav. What collateral shall I give? Lach, to you. Vatomer, and she said, Chotam mecha, the chotem of cha. That's your signet ring. Ufitil lecha, and your fitil. So a fitil is like a thread, right? Like if you remember the commandment for the tzitziot, like when we're supposed to put tzitzit on our garments, the command says, and there should be a fitil or fitil techelet, a thread of techelet. That's a color, right? Of that color. There's differences in opinions on what the color originally was. I won't get into that now. So fitil lecha, your thread, which was part of the whole signet ring process. Umatecha, and your staff, asher which biyadecha is in the hand of you, which is in your hand. Again, turning to Midrash Breshit Rabbah 85:9, inspired by Ruach HaKodesh, the Holy Spirit, Tamar asked for the seal, symbolizing kingship, the cord or the string, Sanhedrin, symbolizing the Sanhedrin, and the staff, symbolizing the Messiah, foretelling the future from their union. Continuing, Vayit lah. So he gave to her, Vayavo, and he entered Eleha unto her, Vataha, and she conceived, lo, for him. Verse 19. Vatakam, and she arose, Vatelech, and she went, Vatasam, and she removed Tserifah, the head covering, the wrap, Me'aleha, from upon her, Vatilbash, and she lavashed, she donned, means she clothed, da, big day, almenuta, in the garments of her widowhood. Okay, let's go ahead and read from the Codex. Vayet eleha, and he turned towards her, el had derech, to the way. Vayomer, and he said, Havana, or Havana, let's, avo, I will enter, elayich, unto you. Ki lo yada, for he didn't know, ki chalato, that his daughter-in-law he was she. Vatomer, and she said, Ma titenli, what will you give me? Ki, that or when, tavo, you enter Eli unto me. Genesis 38:17. Vayomer, and he said, Anochi, I myself, ashalach, I will send a gedi azim, a baby goat, or a baby sheep. Oh yeah, baby goat, pardon me. Min from Hatson, the flock. Vatomer, and she said, Im titain, if you will give, iravon, collateral, rad, until shalachecha, you send. Verse 18. Vayomer, and he said, Ma ha'eravon, what is the collateral? Asher which, et tain, I will give lach to you. Vatomer, and she said, chotam mecha, your signet ring, ufitil lecha, and your cord, umattecha, and your staff, asher, which is beyadecha, be, in the yad of cha, in your hand. It's only with just the goal here. It would usually be beyadcha, but it's beyadecha because the etnachta lengthens. Verse 19. Vayitain. I'm sorry, it's not 19, it's 18 continuing. Vayitain lah. So he gave to her. Vayavo, and he entered Eleha unto her. Vataha, and she conceived lo for him. Genesis 38:19. Vatakum, and she coomed, she got up, she rose, Vatelech, and she halacht, she went, Vatasa, and she removed Tze'efa, her head covering, Me'aleha, from upon her. Vatilbash, and she donned Bigdei Almanota, the garments of her widowhood. How you guys doing? Everybody okay? I didn't bring water down when I came out from my break. Sorry about my throat. Genesis 38, verse 20. Vayeshlach Yehuda et gedi ha'izim beyad echo ha'adulami לקחת הערבון מיד האישה ולא מצא. Vayishlach Yehuda. Then Judah sent et Gedi Ha'izim, the kid of the goats, Beyad, by the hand of Ve'ehu, his friend, his fellow, Ha'adulami, the Adulamite, Lakachat, to take, the Eravon, collateral, me, from the Yad Ha'isha, the hand of the woman, Ve'lo, but not Metza'ah, he find her, he didn't find her. Verse 21. Vayishal et anshe mekoma lemo aye hakedesha he va'inayim al hadarech vayomeru lo hayta vaze kedesha. Vayishal, and he asked et anshe mekoma, the men of her place, lemon, saying, Kimchi comments, he inquired of the people of that town, more precisely of her place, the old Jewish Publication Society translation, from Karasik's translation. Judah had asked her which street she lived on, so that he could send to reclaim his pledge, and she gave him some answer. When the Adulamite went there to look for her at that address, naturally no one had any idea what he was talking about. Aye, where is Hakadesha, the prostitute? He, that, Va'inayim, was that Einayim? Remember, it's Petach Einayim, so he's just speaking. It's capturing exactly his speech, right? That's probably how he talked. At eyes, Al Hadarech, by the way, by the road. Vayomeru, but they said, look, not Haita, was there, like she was, Vazeh, with this, or in here, sometimes Zeh is used for here, Kadesha, a prostitute. Verse 22. Vayashav el Yehuda, vayomer lo matzatiha, vegam anshe hamakom amelu, lo hayta bazeh kedesha. Vayashav el Yehuda. So he returned to Judah. Vayomer, and he said, lo, not matzatiha, did I find her? Vegam, and also Anshe Hamakom, the men of the place, Ameru, they said, Lo, not Haita, she was Vazeh, in this Kadesha. a prostitute. Verse 23. Vayomer Yehuda tikach la pen nichye lavuz hine shalachti hagdihi. Pardon me. Yeah, hagdihi hazeh v'ata lo metzata. Vayomer Yehuda. Then Judah said, Tikach. This is from Tilkach, became Tikach. You shall take law for her. Pen, lest, Nichye, it shall be, lavuz, for the booze. Booze can be like a disgrace or contempt, right? Booze. So it shall be for the contempt, for the disgrace, right? Like it'll be embarrassing. Booze certainly can be embarrassing. Hine, behold, shalachti, I have sent Hagedi, the kid, Hazeh, this one. I sent this kid, Ve'ata, but you, lo, not Matzato, ha, you find her. So he sent it, but his friend couldn't find her. All right, let's look at the codex. Genesis 38, verse 20. Vayishlach Yehudah et Gidi Ha'izim. Then Judah sent the kid from the goat kid, B'yad ha'adulami, by the hand of his friend the Adulamite. Lakachat, to get, literally to take, ha'eravon, the collateral, miyad ha'isha, from the hand of the woman. Velo, but not metza'ah, he didn't find her. The Genesis 38, verse 21. Vayishal et anshe bekomas. And he inquired of, or he asked the men of her place, Le'amol, saying, Aye, where is Ha Kadesha, the hooker? She, Va'inayim, who was at Einayim, short for the other place called Petach Einayim, Al Hadarech, along the way. Vayomeru, but they said, Lo Haita Vaze Kadesha. There wasn't here a Kadesha, a hooker. Genesis 38, verse 22. Vayashav El Yehuda. So he returned to Judah. Vayomer, and he said, Lo Matzati. Ha! I didn't find her. The gum, and also Anshe Makom, the men of the place, Amaru, they said, Lo Haita Vaze Kadesha. There hasn't been in this place a Kadesha. Genesis 38, verse 23. Excuse me. Vayomer Yehuda. So Judah said, Tikach la, take to her, pen nichye lavuz, lest it will be for contempt. Ine, behold, shalachti, I have sent, hagedi hazeh, this kid, ve'ata, but you yourself, lo matzata, you didn't find her. Genesis chapter 38, verse 24. Vayhihi kemishlosh chodashim, Vayugad Lihuda Lemoho Zanetaha Tama Kalatecha Begam Hine Hagaliz Nunim Vayomer Yehuda Hotziuha Betisaref. So Vayhi it was ke, about or as, mishlosh chodashim. This is kind of an interesting construction. The word formed from ke, as, min, from shalosh, but we don't have any marking that used to be min, so it was as from 3 chodashim, months. Bereshit Rabbah 85:10. Tamar's pregnancy was not noticeable for 3 months, and she proclaimed it was of kings and redeemers. Vayugad, and was related Lihuda to Judah, Lemon, saying, Zaneta Tamar. Tamar has behaved lasciviously, is how I would translate. Tamar kalatecha, your daughter-in-law has behaved lasciviously. Vegam, and also, hine, behold, hara, she has conceived, liznunim, for the lasciviousness. Vayomer Yehuda, then Judah said, Hotziu ha. So yatsa is the verb. It's a peyod verb, so the yod is gone, right? It's missing. And this is a hefil. So yatsa is to go out. The hefil is to cause to go out. So bring out. This is an imperative. Hotzi u. You all bring out, cause to come out. Ha, her. Hotzi u ha. Bring her out. Vatisaref. So the verb saraf, sin resh pei, is to burn. This is a nifal, so nisraf. In ancient Hebrew, it would have been vatin sraf. So you still could have told very easily that it was a nifal. But what happens is that when that noon is sandwiched, it likes to assimilate. So vatin sraf became vatis saref. So it's nifal. And she will be burned, right? Nifal is usually passive. Let her be burned, probably like that with Joseph force. Verse 25. He מוצאת, והיא שלחה אל חומיה או חומיה לאמור לאיש אשר אלה לו אנוכי הרע ותאמר הקנה למי החותמת והפתילים והמטה האלה. Nice. So I've just jumped back. Look at the bottom note here. This mirrored how Judah had deceived Jacob with Joseph's coat. Now hearing, examine these in return. Reshit Rabbah 84:19. So let's translate. She, Motzeit, was brought out. Vehi, and she herself, Shalacha, she sent. El, unto. Chomiha, her father-in-law. In the Talmud tractate Sota, page 10b, Samael, this is an angel, a bad angel, hid the proofs to prevent her vindication. But Gabriel retrieved them for the sake of David's future birth, right? Since Messiah is going to come out of this union, interestingly enough, and David as well. Lemor, saying, Le'ish asher ele lo anochi hara, belonging to the man whom these things are his, I have conceived. Talmud Tractate Sota 10b again. Tamar sent the proofs without directly saying, by you, to avoid publicly shaming Judah. Isn't that awesome? Look at this. He's about to have her burned, burned to death. And I think the tradition is right. She could have just said, you're the father, don't kill me. But instead, she gives him a way to hide, or at least deal with the disgrace first, rather than publicly having to admit it. She says, she says, these belong to the guy, right? She doesn't publicly shame Judah, preferring to be burned rather than embarrass him. So it's still his choice, right? He could have been bad and just said, burn her. Vatomer, and she said, Hakelna, recognize now, Lemi, to whom? Hachotemet is the signet ring, or rather just even ring. Vehapetilim, and the cords. Vehamate, and the staff. Ha'ele, these ones. Verse 26. I love this, by the way. I just love it. It's so great. Vayakel Yehuda Vayomer Tzadekah Mimeni Ki al Kain lo netatiha לשלבני, ולא יסף עוד לדעתה. Vayakel Yehuda, and Judah he knocked, he recognized uh, Vayomer, and he said, Tzadakah mimeni, more just than I. Oftentimes translated more righteous than I. Talmud Tractate Sota Tembi comments that Judah's confession sanctified God's name. His confession sanctified God's name. Did you get that? Judah's confession sanctified Shem Hashem Elokeinu, earning him the throne and the world to come, and saving Tamar's children from fire like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Tzedakah mimeni, more just than I. Ki al ken, for concerning this, or because, lo netati ha, I didn't give her, le to Shelah veni, Shelah my ben, my son, velo yasav, but he didn't anymore, like he didn't increase, or still, le da'ata, to know her. So he didn't have sex with her anymore after he knows she's his daughter-in-law. Amazing story. Look at where some of our intelligence comes from, having such a clever ancestor like Tamar. Just amazing. She knew it wasn't right, and she knew that Judah was not obeying the ways of our people to practice Yavalma rather. It's really powerful stuff. People think sometimes that by avoiding God's commands, they're doing something righteous. Think about today. When does this happen today? Can you think of an instance where people today take the righteousness of this world, they take the filth that counts as righteousness of our feminized societies, and they subvert the Torah Hashem with those concepts of right and wrong? They make wrong the word of God in order to justify their modern sensibilities. And even in those times, Judah was at least motivated by fear of the death of a child. So we really can't judge him by the standard that we ourselves today fail the Torah. We fail God's commands. Constantly we fail his commands. And in many ways, because we don't want to look foolish or we don't want to look somehow judgeable by the modern world by keeping his Torah properly, by doing things which are commanded in his Torah. And because Judah did not want to practice the commandment of Yabama, that is, of giving a woman to another man who might be married already as a wife so that he could raise up children for the sake of the dead husband and for the sake of the children and the wife, so they could have all that possession. In his case, at least he was scared of losing a son. You can kind of understand. Right? He's like, how many children must I give this woman? How many must I send to the grave? But still, it was superstition on his part, instead of understanding God's ways are more righteous than ours, even if they seem strange to us. The Torah Hashem is temimah, perfect, sweeter than honey from the honeycomb. All right, let's read the Codex. Genesis 38:24 from the Leningrad Codex. Vayhi kemishlosh chodashim vayugad lihudah. So it was as the passing of 3 months, literally as from 3 of months, that it was told to Judah, Lemor, saying, Zaneta Tamar, Tamar has, literally means played the harlot, right? She's acted lasciviously. Tamar kalatecha, your kala, your daughter-in-law. V'gam, and also he named, behold, hara, she got pregnant. Liz nunim, from the harlotariness, from the lasciviousness. Vayoma Yehudah, so Judah said, Hotziuha, bring her out, v'tisaref, and she will be sarafed, burned. Genesis 38:25. He, Motzeit, she was brought out. He and she herself, Shalacha, sent El Chamiyah to her father-in-law. Le'emol, saying, Le'ish asher ele lo, belonging to the men whom these are his. Anochi hara, I am pregnant. Vatomer, and she said, Hak ke'ana, recognize now, lemi, to whom, hachotemet, the ring, the signet ring, the haptilim, and the threads, the cords, the hamate, and the staff, ha'ele, are these? Genesis 38:26. Vayak kel Yehudah, and Judah recognized. Vayoma, and he said, Tzadakami meni, more righteous, more just than I. Ki al ken, for therefore, or on account of that, lo natatiha, I didn't give to her. I didn't give her the Shelah to Shelah, Veni, my son. Velo Yasaf, but he didn't continue Od anymore, Leda'atah, to know her. Powerful stuff. Genesis chapter 28, verse 27. And we are coming to an end of our ancient Triennial Torah portion. Vayhi be'ed lidtah vehine teomim bevitna. So cool. God is like making up for lost time for her. Vayhi, and it was be'in da'it lidtah, the time. So this is a little hard to recognize. It's actually yalad is the verb, and the yod disappeared. So lidta, of the birthing of her. So vayhi ba'it lidta. So it was in the time when she birthed. Vahine, that behold, tomim, twins, be'in vitna, her betin, in her belly. Midrash Beshit Rabbah 85:13 teaches the plenty spelling of Teomim for Tamar's twins indicates both were righteous, unlike the defective spelling for Rebecca's twins, where one was wicked. Nice. Talking about the variances in spelling. Verse 28. Vayhi velidta, vayiten yad, vatikkach ham yaledet, vatikshor al yado, shani lemo. Ze Yatsa Rishona. Vayehi, so it was, Velidta, in the birthing of her, which means when she birthed, Vayitten Yad, and he Natand, he set a hand. Vatikach, and she lakacht, who's the she? Ham Yaledet, the midwife, took. Vatikshor, and she bound, like the commandment regarding tefillin says, Ukshatam al yadecha, you shall bind upon your arm, right? Uvatotafot benenecha, right? And the frontlets of your eyes. So, Vatikshor, and she bound al upon Yad, oh, his hand, Shani, a scarlet thread, Lemol, saying, Ze Yatsa Rishona, this one came out first. Verse 29. Vayhi כמשיב ידו, והנה יצא אחיו, ותאמר, מה פרצת עליך פרץ, ויקרא שמו פרץ. ויהי, and it was, כמשיב ידו. So this is an active he filled participle from the hollow verb shuv, where we get teshuvah, to return, right? So the cause to return is to bring back. So ke as meshiv, he brought back yado, his hand. Vehine, and behold, yatsa achiv, his brother, came out. Vatomer, so she said, Ma, how? Paratzta, you have burst forth. Alecha, upon you. Paretz. This is a peretz. It's just paretz because of where it is in the sentence. A breach. Vayikra. So he called Shemo, his name, Paretz. The name is actually Peretz again. When you have the etnachta, that's this little wishbone thing, or you have the saluk, that's this final accent in the end of the verse. The way our ancestors memorized the verses through song and rhythm, those vowels would be lengthened. Okay, his name is not Paretz, it's Peretz, but it just becomes Paretz here because of where it's at in the verse, and it just happens to be both places, the etnachta and also the saluk. Okay, if it had been anywhere else, it would have probably just been Peretz. Verse 30, the last verse in the Torah portion. ואחר יצא אחיו אשר על ידו השני לקרא שמו זרח. ואחר, and after, יצא אחיו, went out his brother, אשר whom al yado, upon his hand, hashani was the scarlet, vayikra, then he called Shemo, his name, Zarach, which is actually Zerach. That's kind of a nice name. Zarach is like to shine, right? Shiny. He's like shining to shine. This is where we get, for example, Zarach Hashemesh, the sun dawns, right? The sun is shining its first light, right? Or a very rare and beautiful poetic word in the Psalms, Zarecha, the dawn or the sunshine even. So such a beautiful word. And then here we see in the Leningrad Codex, there's the giant samach with the sideways comments on top, showing that is where the next ancient triennial Torah portion starts. We're not just making these up like the conservative Jews do. They don't like to read the full Torah portion, the annual Torah portion, so they just kind of have haphazardly invented a reading plan. So what they'll do is they'll take the yearly Torah portion and they'll read the first third of it 1 year, okay, all the way Genesis through Deuteronomy, right? So what they'll do is they'll take 1 week's annual Torah portion and they just read the first third of that. And the next cycle around, they read the second third. And the third cycle around, they read the third third, which is really disconjointed, right? You don't really get what's going on. It's all out of order. It's just invented. But what we're doing is the actual ancient, the older triennial reading, the reading that predates the modern yearly reading of the Torah. So I don't know why they didn't just do it this way instead of inventing stuff. This way, you go through the whole Torah in 3.5 years linearly. So it makes sense. Imagine being a kid and every time you're going to your conservative shul and you're, oh, wow, why is this happening now? It just, I think, kind of an example of how the Satan has confused them over there, where they even now acknowledge certain things like Libergute plus and such. All right. Did I translate? Okay. Let's read from the Codex and then we'll be done with the Torah portion. Vayhi ba'et lid ta. So it was at the time of her birthing. Vehine, that behold, teomim, twins. And again, it's spelled the right way so that it means good twins. They're both good. Bevitna were in her womb. 28. Vayhi velita. So it was when she birthed. Vayhi ten yad. That one set a hand. Vatikach yaledet. So the midwife took Vatikshor, and she bound al yado upon his hand. Shani. See, I don't really get that. He's the firstborn because he stuck his arm out, but he wasn't really born first. Right? It's kind of interesting. Lemo saying, Ze yatsa rishona. This one came out first. Genesis 38, verse 29. Vayhi, and it was Kameshiv, that he returned Yado, his hand. Vehine, and behold, Yatsa Achiv, his brother came out. Latomer, so she said, Ma paratzta, how you've broken forth, how you've breached through. Alecha, upon you, or with you. Paretz, a breach, or a bursting forth. Same verbal root is used for the bud of a flower bursting forth. Vayikra, so he called Shemo, his name, Paretz, Peretz, breach, or bursting. Genesis 38:30. The Acha Yatsa Achiv, and afterwards came out his brother, Asher whom Al Yado upon his hand was Hashani, the scarlet, Vayikra Shemo, and they called his name Zarach. His name's actually Zerach, right? Just getting lengthened by the saluk. And that's the end of the Torah portion. Now sit tight. We're going to do a few verses in the Hebrew from the Haftarah, the ancient Triennial Haftarah, as discovered by Rabbi Dr. Jacob Mann, M-A-N-N, may he rest in peace, for his great work and research. May his name be for a blessing and a memory, his memory be for a blessing, as he discovered the ancient Triennial Haftarot. Very, very nice. Okay, Isaiah 37, verse 31. V'yasafa peletat Beit Yehuda. And there was added, or also remained, a Pleitat Beit Yehuda, or there will be, right? Sorry, Vav converser there. And will still or again the Pleitat Beit Yehuda, the survivors, literally survivor, but the idea is survivors of the house of Judah, Hanishara, who remain, Shoresh Lemata, a root for the tribe. Ve'asa thari lema'ala, and will make fruit for literally upwards or from then onward. Verse 32, Ki mirushalayim teitzei she'erit, for from Jerusalem will go out a remnant, ufleita, and survivor, me da har Zion, from Mount Zion, da kinat Adonai, the zeal of the Lord, or the zeal of Hashem, Tsevaot, of legions, master of legions. Ta ha'aseh will do this, will make this happen. Isaiah 37, verse 33. This will be the last slide for the Haftarah, so sit tight if you're getting antsy. Lachein ko amar Adonai el da melech Ashur, so that such said Adonai unto, or will say Adonai unto the king of Assyria, Lo yavo el ha'ir hazot, he will not enter into this city. Velo, and not yore sham chetz, he shall not shoot there an arrow. Velo, and not yekad demena. So this can mean a magen, a shield. So this can mean a few different things. From kidam, the PL. Kadam in Jewish Aramaic, pa'el has the idea of to go for, before, or to confront. Right? This is where we get in modern Hebrew the kedema. The kedema is the forward in a book, right? So Hebrew PL, to be in front of, to go up to someone, to approach, or to anticipate, or to do early, right? So probably he will not approach, he will not confront it or her. The her is because of the city of Jerusalem. A shield, not even a shield. He won't even approach with a shield, a magen. Velo yishpoch, and he will not pour out aleha, well actually aleha, kind of strange spelling here, upon her, solela. So this is from the verb salal, to go up. This is like a siege wall, right? So presumably they would pour out dirt and such and then build the wall upon it. So he won't, and it's always with yishpoch, I mean shafach rather, to pour out. So he won't pour out upon it a siege wall. So he's not going to bring a shield, even approach with a shield. He's not going to pour out a siege wall. Verse 34. Ba'derech asher ba yashuv, on the way which he entered, ba, into her, yashuv, he will return. The el ha'el hazot, but unto this city, lo, not yavo, will he enter. Ne'um Adonai, it is an utterance of Adonai, meaning that's the prophecy. Some translate Ne'um as oracle. I don't like that. Isaiah 37, verse 35. Veganoti al ha'er hazot. So the verb is ganan. Maybe Filipinos can think of ganun as a good mnemonic. Ganan is a geminate. That means it's got two root letters that are the same. That's why we have the dagish there. They've collapsed. And this word only occurs in the prophets, right? It's not in the Torah or the writings. It means to enclose, fence, or protect. And when it's used with al, as it is here, that's usually how it's used. Then it's like protect, right? So vegano ti al. So I shall protect Ha'el Hazot, this city. The Hoshiaha, to save her, to save it, to rescue it. The Ma'ani, for my sake. Ule Ma'an, and for the sake of David, Avdi, my servant. May it be so in our days. How many times has Adonai protected Jerusalem now? I believe he still does. He will protect us from now, ad olam, until forever. Amen. Okay, what's our lekach today? Don't void God's commands through fear or superstition. Don't look around and say, well, society says we should do things these ways. Don't attack others who are keeping God's commands because you find it odd to the modern lens, rather through the lens of modernity. Judah allowed himself to be convinced by superstition that he should not obey the command to give his third son to Tamar, rather to give her to him as a wife. Through superstition. Don't let that happen in your own life or in our lives. God's Torah is the way, it is the truth. And the embodiment of his Torah, the Mashiach, demonstrates the way and is the way. Don't allow people to dissuade you through strange and vain sayings. Oh, you'll be in bondage to the law. Don't be a fool. I remember one time in Moscow, we had some volunteers working at our synagogue. They were Christians who wanted to help and they were volunteering, young Christians. In Russia in those days, I remember the one guy, he was so revered because he'd been a believer for, wait for it, this was Kirill. He'd been a believer for 4 years. That's how it was in those days. It's like the Wild West of sharing the word, right? He'd been a believer for 4 years. And so he was a pastor, even though he wasn't the main pastor of that congregation, but it's a lot of knowledge. And anyway, this guy, I remember he and his staff who were supposed to be helping us, we had kosher rules and such for the synagogue staff, right? We had a kosher kitchen and all this stuff. And one day, I remember they had made up, I think it was beans or something. I can't remember what it was, some kind of dish, some soup with beans and lentils, something in there like that. And I was eating it, and there's a hot dog floating in there, or pieces of a hot dog. And I'm like, what is this? And they're kind of smirking and laughing and such. And I was, anyway, it doesn't matter my age, pretty young man. And turns out it was pork. They thought it was, on one hand, funny, clearly as they're laughing. And they claimed they were doing us a favor when I dug into this a bit to get us out of bondage to the law. This guy who's been a believer for 4 years, is teaching us. He presumed to teach us, right? This arrogant guy. He's going to teach us silly Jews that we need to not be under the law. And this is how he's doing it, by sneaking pork into our food. I remember I went to the kitchen and I threw those hot dogs out the window, or I think we're on the third floor or something in the window. And the rabbi's coming home. And he tells me later, he comes up, he's like, what was that flying out the window? I told him, these guys put trafe in our food. I threw it out the window. That became a story for years after that. The flying hot dogs. So, don't be a fool like that. Don't let people do those foolish things to you. You see how the world thinks something is right, but really it's wicked. So wicked. You're going to try to make God's people defile the temple, and you think you're righteous for doing this? You with your 4 years of Bible knowledge? Give me a break. Anyway, it's supposed to be funny. I'm not angry retelling the story. It's kind of funny remembering it. but at least after that they got kicked out. They weren't allowed in the office anymore. We didn't work with them anymore. Their volunteerism clearly had ulterior motives. Yeah, they tried to steal our database, you know, of a bunch of our Jewish believer followers, friends, to try to get them to come to their church. I just, oi, how see what happens with lawlessness, folks? This is the incongruity. This is why a lot of people end up leaving Christianity, because it's incongruous. right? There are errors if you don't follow the thing through. When God says something is for eternity, he's not joking. He's not kidding around. And when you try to do theological mental gymnastics to escape from words like le'olam va'ed, forever and ever, and you take a modern cultural perspective of what right and wrong is and how it's just silly, or what you eat, really? You're concerned about what you eat? You consider that silly and contemptible. The only one you're contemning is the Lord God of Israel. He's the inventor of the Mosaic law. He's the one who thought it up. We're not liberals here. We don't think that it was just invented by people. God created his Torah. So don't allow yourself or anybody else to avoid God's commands through fear or superstition or through mockery or laughing or snickering or anything like that. Who cares what they think? Let them go and be blessed with their actions. And I'd like to share with you guys, I am not a Kohen. I'm not a descendant of Aaron, not a priest. And I don't have a Levi sitting here with me, but I will make this blessing after the order of Melchizedek. Ki yesh lanu Mashiach, ki yesh lanu Kohen, b'shamayim mima'al. Yeshua Shemo, we have a Kohen, we have a priest in the heavens above. He is the Messiah. Yeshua is his name. Yavarechach Adonai v'yesh mecha. Ya'er Adonai panai v'lecha v'choneka. Yisa Adonai panai v'lecha v'yasem lecha shalom. All right, Shavua Tov. Everyone have a great week ahead. I look forward to hearing from all of you, seeing you guys in my classes Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We have classes. And Shabbat, ironically, Sunday's the day without a class. But you can watch any of those on Sunday and review them on Sunday if you like. May you all be blessed. Hope your Hebrew is improving. And I will catch you all later. By the way, in case you do not know, starting January 13th, we will start having classes every week in virtual reality. That's in VR. So get yourself a VR headset if you can. Best recommended is Oculus. That is MetaQuest. If you can get a MetaQuest 3, that's great. If not, 3S is next best. If not, a used or refurbished Quest 2 will work. Also, various headsets that work on PC VR will work. You need something that is compatible with big screen beta. Big screen beta. We will be starting in there. And I'm also designing a world in another place, which eventually we will be using the virtual synagogue there. But for now, we're starting out in big screen beta to reduce issues that might happen. And so I don't have to finish that world yet. Let's make sure we get a good amount of people there. So anyway, that'll be interesting. You'll be able to raise your hand live as I teach on a giant screen. I'll be pointing to you. You'll see my avatar. I'll see you raise your hand. I'll point to you. I'll ask you a question. We can interact like this. So we'll start with 1 or 2 classes a week in VR and kind of see how it goes. All right. All right. See you guys later. Be well. Shalom, shalom.